This is Carolina This Week. Carolina This Week with Tim McGinnis.
Good morning and thanks for joining us for Carolina This Week. Of course, this is Labor Day weekend, the unofficial end of the summer season on the Grand Strand. Lots of tourists packing beaches and area resorts and hotels. There you see a look at the skyline in Myrtle Beach, where a lot of people will be taking in the sights this weekend. Here to talk to me about how the summer has gone so far is Dr. Taylor Damonte. I say so far, I guess since this is going to be airing on Sunday, though we're taping on a Thursday afternoon, this is the end of the summer season for all intents and purposes. Yeah. How did it go?
It went well. We had a relatively strong summer. Occupancy, on the one hand, was a bit down, but prices were a bit up. Overall, I think we're going to show probably between 1 and 3% revenue gain over last year. But we did see a decline in occupancy of about 4 occupancy points. So,
is that to be expected given the economy?
Well, you know, there's so many factors that play into it. The economy is really it's a very complex issue as well. One of the factors that we track that seems to follow pretty closely with the relative uptick or decline in occupancy for us, for the Grand Strand, is consumer confidence. Consumer confidence, for example, was down quite a bit in May, and it lags visitation a bit, or changes in consumer confidence tend to lag with occupancy, and so we were quite a bit down on occupancy in June. It increased again slightly in June, that is consumer confidence, and so we began to see a slight uptick in occupancy again in July and in August. But at the same time, consumer confidence has gone back down. I think the latest number from the Confidence Board was an index of about 45, and that's about a 14% decline from where it was last August. So we're expecting September to suffer at least a little based on that.
I've always wondered, when consumer confidence dips or when people just aren't spending like they were, does that ever work as a benefit for our area? Because people might cancel those Hawaii vacations or Bermuda vacations and do a driving destination.
Yes, yes. And when I throw out up slightly or down slightly, that's compared to where we were as a destination last year. If you look at how we compare to some of the long-haul destinations and even some of the relatively shorter haul destinations, Branson and Pigeon Forge and so forth, we've done quite well. Yes, the short-haul destinations, and I would put the Gulf Coast in that, but also the Grand Strand, tend to do a little better than the long-haul markets during challenging economic times or other times of great challenge.
Now, Dr. Damonte, you appear on television, I'd say almost as regularly as some of our reporters do, talking about tourism along the Grand Strand. For people who want to know a little bit more about what you do and how you're funded, tell me a little bit about, because you kind of have a unique situation at Coastal Carolina.
Yes.
Explain that.
Well, first off, what we do, we are students and faculty and staff at Coastal Carolina University, and Britton Center for Resort Tourism is actually myself, a couple of other faculty and staff members that we work with, but also a team of students. We have a team of students that go out onto the internet. They monitor, they observe websites, vacation rental properties. They probably observe close to 1,000 websites per week, per rental week, up to 3,000 sites per week. And so they record, when they observe those sites, they record whether or not they're booked. For instance, this most recent period, we were observing the week of October the 1st through the 7th. So students actually went out and hit close to 1,000 websites for that rental week, and observed whether or not those rental homes were already reserved or whether they were not reserved, and what the asking price was for them. And we use that data, and we do each week 3 times. And so we use that data in order to help us create short-term forecasts for the lodging industry. And why is lodging important? It's because lodging is an artifact of the demand for all services provided to visitors to the community. And so if we know that lodging demand or lodging volume, visitation is up 1% or down 1%, we can have a better idea of what demand for all services are going to be, at least the ones that are provided to visitors.
Was there anything surprising this summer as far as lodging is concerned? Did you have people who were renting homes and renting condominiums, maybe more than they were staying in traditional hotels along the beach? Does it break down to that?
Well, not to speak to this summer in particular, but the last several, one of the trends we've seen is that even during the Great Recession at the beginning, we started to see dramatic declines in occupancy in hotels and condo hotels. But on the other hand, the reservations for vacation rental properties were improving, were increasing. Actually, I believe we have gone up about 9 occupancy points in the last 3 years in our summer occupancy, at least the ones that were reserved for vacation rental properties. So instead of 73% occupancy, which if memory serves is where we were in vacation rental properties in 2009, we're up to 82% for this summer. It's still down just a fraction, less than a fraction compared to last summer, but it's up dramatically compared to 3 or 4 years ago in that segment.
When we weren't in a recession.
Right, right. Well, actually, when we, that's right, when we were at the beginning of the recession. So, you know, what can we take from that? Well, there's a variety of things that may play into that. First off, it's a value issue. The price per bedroom in a vacation rental property is probably in the neighborhood of between 60 and 70% of what the price per bedroom in a condo hotel would be. It's probably 50 or 55% of what it would be in a hotel on a per bedroom basis. And so one of the factors that may be playing into that increase in demand for that product segment is the value-seeking behavior. You know, if you can get along with your relatives well enough to share a house with, and there's I'm kidding. There's a lot of advantage to being that close to the friends and family that you're traveling with. There are consumer behaviorists that I follow. That one of them in particular talks about togethering, and that is a trend that we're seeing nationwide, and certainly that too could be having an impact on the demand for larger vacation home options.
Let's take a quick break, come back. I want to talk a little bit more about trends in tourism along the Grand Strand. A little bit later, we're going to hear from the business side. Somebody from the Myrtle Beach Area Chamber of Commerce will be here to talk a little bit about how the summer went. We will be right back.